All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're kind of putting on our detective hats to investigate a super weird mystery on YouTube. It's like a classic whodunit, right? But instead of a missing person, we're looking for an entire type of creator that honestly should exist, but just doesn't.
Look at this number, 100 million. That's the combined number of subscribers for just the top 20 storytime animators on YouTube. We're talking about a massive, massive audience. That's more people than live in Germany.
And this whole scene was basically built by creators like The Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations. I mean, they're the kings and queens of telling stories by, just drawing one frame after another. They absolutely own this huge corner of the platform.
Which leads us to the big mystery here. If this whole format is so incredibly popular in 2D, why has nobody pulled it off in 3D? Where are they? It's a genuine head-scratcher. Now, just so we're all on the same page about who we're looking for, we mean a very specific kind of creator. Someone who uses a 3D avatar to talk to us, the audience, and throws in little animated jokes and stuff. We're not talking about gamers or people making fan films. We're hunting for the true 3D version of this specific YouTube style.
Okay, so the investigation begins. Let's start with the prime suspect in this whole YouTube mystery.
The first thing that probably popped into your head is time. It's the obvious answer, right? 3D animation just seems so complicated and like it would take forever. So that's got to be why no one's doing it, for the crazy fast pace of YouTube. Case closed? Not so fast.
Yeah, let's actually poke some holes in this whole time myth. Because when you really break down how these two things are made, that whole idea starts to, well, it kind of falls apart.
And this is where things get really interesting. For super simple characters, yeah, 2D is faster. You can whip up a little stick figure in no time. But with 3D, you do have to put in work up front. You got to build the model, you got to rig it. But here's the magic part. Once that's done, it's done. That character is yours to reuse forever.
And here's the real plot twist. If you want a character with more detail, drawing them over and over and over in 2D would take an eternity. But in 3D, animating that complex character takes pretty much the same amount of time as a simple one. So get this, for YouTuber, 3D actually makes detailed characters more efficient in the long run, not less. So our first suspect? Looking pretty innocent right now.
And the case against time gets even weaker when you look at backgrounds. The Odd Ones Out actually said once that a single 2D background took him 7 hours to draw for just 4 seconds of video. And if he needed a different camera angle, he'd have to draw the whole thing all over again. In 3D, you build a room or a set one time, and then you can film it from literally any angle you want forever. Not to mention, you can just download thousands of free models online to fill your world. It's a huge time saver. So if 3D can actually be just as fast, maybe even faster than 2D for this kind of YouTube content, then why is this 3D storytime animator still missing in action? We've cleared our main suspect. We need a new theory. It turns out the real answer might not have anything to do with technology. It might be about culture. Let's look at our new culprit, this crazy pressure to be perfect. Hop in the time machine with me. Let's go back to 2017. Fidget spinners were a thing, and 2D storytime animation was blowing up on YouTube. But if you looked at big-time 3D animation, you only saw one thing: photorealism. Think about Pixar movies, like Cars 3, where every single shot was pushing to look as real as a photograph. And that set an impossibly high standard. It basically created this unspoken rule for anyone getting into 3D. The goal wasn't just to make something cool. The goal was to make something that looked real. And that pressure cooker was cranked up by the community itself. You had these online forums that were just brutal. They would tear apart anyone's work if it wasn't perfectly realistic. If your art didn't look like a photo, you were going to get roasted. So imagine being a new creator trying to do something simple or stylized in that environment. No way. So that was the wall, right? An impossible hurdle. But then, in 2018, something happened that just broke all the rules and completely changed the game. I mean, literally in 1 year, everything flipped. In 2018, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out and just shattered that whole photorealism standard. It proved that stylized 3D could be a massive hit. Suddenly, you didn't have to be realistic. You could be creative, you could be expressive. And now we see that style everywhere, in huge hits like Arcane and the new Puss in Boots.
So here's the thing. That barrier to entry, it's gone. That cultural pressure that forced every 3D artist to aim for perfection, poof, the door was officially wide open for a new wave of stylized 3D creators to take over YouTube. And yet, almost 7 years later, crickets. They still haven't shown up. And that leaves us with one final baffling puzzle.
The case is still very much cold, but our investigation has left us with two last, pretty plausible theories about what's going on. So here's where we've landed. Theory 1, the perception problem. Even though stylized 3D is cool now, maybe the reputation of 3D being this impossible mountain to climb is still scaring people away before they even try. Or, theory 2, and this one's a little rough, maybe the audience just doesn't want it. It's possible people have tried, and for whatever reason, viewers just didn't really connect with the 3D vibe for this kind of personal one-on-one content.
So that job opening is still, well, open. The path was paved for 2D animators years and years ago, but there's still no one leading the charge for a new generation of 3D creators, which leaves us with one final, really fascinating question. Who's going to be the one to finally crack this code, to prove this can work, and become the very first true 3D storytime animator on YouTube? The case remains open.